Good morning. I'd like to call the regular scheduled meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order. It is Monday, April 18th. It's now 8:30. First order of business, the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to ask Selectman McKelvey to lead us, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Gary. We have quite a long agenda this morning, so try to move it along as quickly as possible. The second item on the agenda is public forum, limited to 3 minutes on any agenda item. Anybody wishing to address the board? Mr. Seibert, the Dr. Seibert, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Jerry Silbert. I live at 155 White Birch Drive, and as you know, I'm a physician. And I'd like to speak to the item on the agenda having to do with the turf fields. I believe that's on the agenda today. And a few things I have to say about that. I want to make 4 points. One is with respect to the health risks. The other is with respect to natural turf technology. And another is to the life cycle cost of artificial turf fields. In terms of the risk, I know that Malone and McBroom, which does engineering for many of these fields and makes a lot of money from it, says that they're not concerned about the crumb rubber. But I've looked at a number of the articles, and in my opinion, the research and studies that have been done on crumb rubber are totally inadequate, and I'll tell you why. A study at Yale showed that there were 12 carcinogens, 20 irritants, and 40% of the chemicals identified in crumb rubber have not even been tested for toxicity. So that raises a red flag right away. The way they test for toxicity is they look at the maximum allowable account for each one of those chemicals that have been identified, and then say, well, since all of those chemicals seem to be below the maximum allowable amount for exposure, the crumb rubber must be safe. What they don't take into account is you're exposed to multiple chemicals simultaneously. It's called the combined effect. This is well known in toxicology, and the combined effect of chemicals even below their maximum allowable dose can be toxic than any individual chemical. So no in vitro studies have been done. In other words, they haven't studied the effect of this crumb rubber on living systems, number one, which are very complex and susceptible to these, and number two, they haven't done any epidemiologic studies on people who are exposed to crumb rubber over a period of time. Both of those two are essential to actually establishing whether there's harm or not. So I think the issue of safety is still to be considered. The second thing is that I know that natural turf has not even been considered in terms of looking at what the possibilities are for natural turf. And new technology is available for natural turf that allows a lot more play than what is conventionally thought of on turf right now. And so why that wasn't really looked into, for example, there's a fellow, Jared Minnick, who talks about how natural turf can be constructed to get just about as much play as artificial turf and costs a lot less money. The third thing I'd wanted to talk about is life cycle cost. And I have some articles for you in terms of the cost of artificial turf field entitled "How Taxpayers Get Fooled on the Cost of an Artificial Turf Field" by Mike Onzanian in Forbes magazine. So feel free to take a look at that. Now, I understand from the last time that I testified here that the Board of Selectmen has no jurisdiction over the Guilford High School Building Committee in terms of what they choose. But my reason for coming here is I had planned to talk to the Guilford High School Building Committee But when I looked at their agenda for the meeting, there was no mention of natural turf on their agenda. And since you can only talk on agenda items that are on their agenda, I figured, well, what's the sense? I'm not going to be able to talk. Turns out that they had an hour discussion about natural turf, and it wasn't listed on their agenda, and Malone and McBroom came and testified before them and talked about various kinds of alternative infills for natural turf. So I didn't get the opportunity to talk, and I wonder why they didn't say that, well, since it wasn't on the agenda and since there are people who wanted to talk to this thing, they had better postpone that to later, because I think the public is very interested in those issues. Thirdly, I wanted to say that maybe you should check out the fields in Branford. They've been treated without toxic chemical compounds for at least 7 years, and they look great. They're better than they ever looked before. The turf is thick, and Alex Paluzzi, who's the director of Park and Recreation there, says that they get a very large amount of play on those fields. So you can speak to Alex, you can see them. So the bottom line that I have is I understand that one of the things on the agenda is that they're going to give Malone and McBroom the authority to put out bids for various kinds of turf fields with various kinds of artificial fills. And maybe we should just step back a moment and look at the possibilities of the new technology in natural turf fields, because they're much less expensive. Actually, I did some sort of back-of-the-envelope calculations, and for roughly a $950,000.
Jerry, I'm going to have to stop you.
Okay.
You're approaching almost 6 minutes now.
Okay.
Okay, that's twice
Okay,
the amount of time.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I think I may be the only one here to talk, but
Okay.
in any case, I think if you look at the costs, and the cost of natural turf, you might find that you get much more bang for the buck and much less expensive and almost as much play on natural turf. So I suggest respectfully that we step back and take a careful look at that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else wishing to address the board? Okay, thank you. All right, moving on. Approval of the minutes for April 4th, which was a regular meeting. Do I have a motion, please?
Second.
Is there any additions or corrections? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Motion approved. Item 4, Director of Operations for the Board of Ed, Cliff Burnham. Discuss and take possible action to waive the bidding and contract with Malone and McBroom for the design and construction and administration of the Guilford High School athletic field. Morning.
Good morning.
How was your vacation?
Very good, thanks.
Good.
Good to be back, though. I'm here on behalf of the building committee, the high school building committee, to bring forward a proposal that was approved by the building committee on April 12th from Malone and McBroom for additional design and construction administration for the turf field at the high school, the proposed new turf field at the high school. It is recommended by the building committee that we ask you to waive the bidding procedure based upon the prior contracts we have with Malone and McBroom. They're the present landscape architects on the project, so this would be technically additional work they'd be providing for that project. The cost of the additional work is $18,500. That includes the design, construction administration, bid phase, and direct expenses. So the building committee is looking to move forward with that.
Cliff, is that in addition to the 7,100 previously authorized, or is that,
I think
does
it
that
is.
include the
I think
71?
in addition to my knowledge.
So saying it supersedes? I'm confused.
Apparently there was a contract for 7,100 prior.
So this is in addition.
This is in
Correct.
addition.
I'm pretty sure that's what
Okay.
it is.
Okay.
All right. Pam,
Sorry.
Excuse me, I'm just reading it. It says, "This amendment supersedes the previous amendment, and the scope and fee noted below replaces that previously provided. The 7,100 previously authorized will not be invoiced."
Okay. Sorry.
All right, to clarify 2 points. This still falls within the appropriation of the 92 million. This is
Correct.
not an additional appropriation.
Correct.
Okay, number one. Number two, to clarify Dr. Siebert's point, we are looking at a variety of fillers. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Yes, there's alternate
it's
infills
not-
being looked at as part of this proposal.
Okay.
Is one of the alternatives turf? The natural turf?
That's not an infill. It's just basically the replacement of the crumb rubber with different types of other materials, such as sand, for example, that they can put in that. I don't know all the
I
other.
think Carl's question is, this proposal is strictly for synthetic turf,
Correct,
not turf, synthetic turf.
correct.
And then the option, it will be decided by the building committee.
Yes.
If we waive the bidding, and normally we only do it if there's only one contractor or whatever. I mean, are there other contractors that would bid on this?
There are other contracts that could do this work. However, we've gone so far in the process using Malone and McBroom. You'd be restarting the whole process if you went out and rebid for a new vendor. Essentially, you're 3/4 of the way through design of the turf field, so to go back and bid this out would not be in the best interest of the town or the building committee.
Maybe Cliff to understand, so they were originally brought in to do this.
Correct,
Right.
they've done the whole project,
Right.
yes, including all the fields and all the landscaping
Okay.
for the new high school, correct.
Okay,
So this is just essentially addition to that work
right.
because of looking at the different aspects of the turf field.
Pam?
To address your concern, Carl, I also ran it by outside counsel, Jeff D'Onofrio, on the waiver, whether that it was a proper use of it, and he thought so.
It sounds as though, I mean, if we move forward with this, it sounds like the decision has been made regarding synthetic versus natural turf.
That would be a comment from the building committee that I can only speculate on at
Yes
this
and
point in
no.
time.
I mean, moving forward with this, and if this doesn't include the option of natural turf whatsoever,
Well, I think at this point,
preclude that option?
no, because they have all the information to put a natural turf field in.
Oh, okay.
They don't
So they
have the
have- they
information
don't.
on this
Okay.
other types of fields, so that's why they're doing this research, yeah.
So this research
And
will be
design.
compared to the natural turf research?
Correct.
and
The
then
natural
they will
turf-
make that decision.
Right, the natural turf field was part of the original packet, so this is above and beyond that, you know.
Are they going to be discussing this again, this issue again? And, I mean, so that the public can have input at one of their meetings? I mean, at some point, they're going to have to decide on natural turf or synthetic turf.
Correct. A part of this packet is a presentation to the building committee on what they find as far as alternate infills. So that would be an appropriate time to probably come speak at the meetings if somebody from the public wanted to speak, would be at one of those upcoming meetings. Yep.
Because I know we can't speak as a board, but certainly we could go as individuals to speak to the building committee at that time.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
I would move that we waive the bidding for the, as proposed for 18,500, proposing this Malone McBroom
Second,
letter.
second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Abstain? Charles?
Aye.
Okay. 4 in favor, 1 abstention. Motion passes. Thank you. Thank you, Cliff.
Thanks.
Item 5, Golf Course Superintendent Ted Ty, removed from the table and take possible action on the purchase of a multi-pro sprayer on the state contract, 13 PSK 0321. First of all, we need a motion to remove from the table. Do I have one?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion is now for discussion. Morning, Ted.
Good morning.
Okay.
How's everyone?
Good. All right, we have before us the information regarding the sprayer.
Yeah, there's 3 bids. There's a Toro, there's a John Deere, and there's a Jacobson, which are the 3 major suppliers in the golf course business.
Now, this was presenting to us back in the fall, I believe.
Yeah, back in November or late October, we presented it and we pushed it off because we were thinking about going with the outside contractor to run the golf course.
Okay, looking at which are you recommending?
I was looking at the Toro, which is the cheapest of the 3.
32,081,
Correct.
05, right?
Yep.
Okay. Remind the board, the budget is $29,000, so you're kind of over budgeted on this one. In reviewing capital budget, finance director can correct me, she's sitting there, is that you do have a surplus from your tees of about $4,000. Well, you're finished with the tees,
Correct.
at least from what I saw this weekend, they look pretty good.
Yeah.
Nice job on them.
Thank you.
Okay, so you do have enough funds left over in the budget to compensate for the deficit, so that you're okay, you have 33,000 left.
Can I ask what a sprayer is? Like, what's it do?
Um,
No, I know, but I mean.
Basically, it's a 150-gallon sprayer. You know,
Like a power washer?
Yeah, no, basically, we spray, fungicides onto the greens of the golf
Oh,
course.
all
With it.
Okay. All right, how old is the one you have now?
The one we have presently is 17 years old, and the fertilizers that go in there when we put it on the greens have really eaten it up pretty good, basically. So that's why we're going to you to look for, purchase a new one.
Okay. All right, the reason why we tabled it last time, I'll remind the board, is because we were contemplating going with a management company. We went through that whole process, and we got a couple of bids, and the bids just didn't work out when the Golf Course Commission did their due diligence. So that's why we held off purchasing the sprayer at that time. So we're at the point now where the equipment is needed.
So you're suggesting that the toxicity of the fertilizer eats away at the...
Basically, it's the fertilizers eating away the sprayer.
But it helps the grass.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I see Jerry back there just grimacing.
Is that what's wrong with most golfers? They're walking around on this stuff?
Hey, wait a minute.
I said most.
Okay.
This is a dedicated piece of equipment, can only be used on the golf course.
I don't know.
Rick could use it if he needed it, or the park department.
Okay.
So he'd be willing to share it, is what he's saying.
Yeah, but to Gary's point, I guess it isn't dedicated to only spraying tough stuff. Yeah, it's just something you I don't want to micromanage it, okay?
Okay, if no one wants to make the motion, I'll make a motion that we waive the bidding and,
No, we don't...
No, we don't have to wait, they did it, just
No,
we
it's not
purchased.
state
the
state
state
contract.
contract, excuse me. All right, that we purchase, authorize the purchase of the Toro on the state contract, 13 PSK 0321.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. And the funds come from the 29,000 that was budgeted and the leftover funds from the T of, the rebuilding of the Ts of the $4,000. Okay. Thank you, Ted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too. I don't see Portly here yet, so we'll move on. Tracy, you want to? Okay, we'll go to, oh, he is? Okay. Send, Item 6, Town Engineer Jim Portley. 6.1, we're going to, let's discuss and take possible action on the award of a bid of a hydraulic excavator, and discussing it with Mr. Portley on Friday. We're going to table that, correct, James?
Correct.
Okay, good morning, first of all.
Good morning.
So you need a motion to table 6.1?
Yes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. It's tabled.
Because we didn't think there was enough information presented, or?
The Public Works Commission has
Table.
decided to table it.
Okay.
Okay. 6.2, consider and take possible action to contract with Tilcon under the state contract for paving of River Street, Surrey Lane, and Broad Street.
So, okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. The reference streets would all be paved under the state bid for vendor in place, number 15 PSX 0228. Tilcon is by far the least expensive of all the contractors that bid on it. The price tags for the various streets, River Street, which we will reconstruct from Route 1 to Water Street, is $172,891. Surrey Lane, which is a cul-de-sac off Highwoods, $56,227. And Broad Street, which we will pave from River Street easterly to Whitfield Street, is $41,853 for a total of $275,971. Work has begun. We've done a lot of work on River Street already in terms of installing drainage. We've started, and I've got concrete sidewalks up from Water to Howard, proceeding with the curb and sidewalks up on the east side of the road from Howard to Broad. So that's started already. This project here, though, is strictly with Tilcon, these contracts. So I would recommend the Board of Selectmen award the paving of River Street, Surrey Lane, and Broad Street for the estimated price of $275,971.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion?
Funding for this, Jim? I remember some of it came from your negotiation with the
Water company, yes, and then the rest of it would be the bond we had for inland roads.
Do you recall what the numbers were from?
I think we had
the water
roughly
company?
200,000, for the water company it was 63,000.
63,000.
We also have Surrey Lane was in this year's capital. And as I said, River Street is in the bond issue for inland roads last year.
Any other discussion, questions? Call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Okay. 6.3, consider and take possible action to set a town meeting date for Monday, May 16, 2016, at 8:15 a.m. at the Guilford Town Hall to accept easements.
These easements are all necessary for the reconstruction of Long Hill Road.
Excuse me, Jim, I didn't finish. For, I had to turn the page. For Long Hill Reconstruction Project and send to Planning and Zoning for mandatory referral under Connecticut General Statutes 8-24. Now you can go.
Okay. All the easements and right-of-ways were donated by the abutting property owners very generously. So we've gone through that whole process and submitted that to the DOT. More laborious than I thought, but it was done. So at this point, I guess we have to go through the town meeting process, and so I recommend you set the date. As said, Planning and Zoning has known about this project. They've approved various versions of it all along, so I don't anticipate a problem with 8/24.
Entertain a motion, please.
I would move that we set a town meeting date of May 16th at 8:15.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous, thank you. Also, on that date, we need to set a town meeting to discuss and set possible action at 8:15 at Guilford Town Hall to take action on renewal of the contract with Covanta Bristol for the disposal of solid waste and recyclable waste for the town of Guilford and Madison. Okay?
Back when we signed the contract with Covanta in 2011, it allowed us to have 2 5-year extensions of that contract. Looking at all the options, I don't think there really is any good viable option for us other than to proceed with Covanta. They've served us well at a very good price for these last few years, and I think this is looking at all things as they are right now, this is the best thing for us to do going forward. The state DEP is looking at their whole solid waste strategy, and I don't know where that's going to go, but they've just initiated that. Who knows in 3, 4, 5 years, but right now, for us, this is the best deal. So I would recommend the Board of Selectmen set this meeting date. I have met with Covanta. They are very much interested in proceeding with the contract. I've also advised Madison, who also has to sign on since that's part of the Guilford transfer station. I've advised them they also have to have whatever form I don't think they go to a town meeting. I think they just do it at their Board of Selectmen. But I think we should go forward.
It's a renewal for how long?
We option for 2 5-year periods, so I guess we would just do it for this 5 year.
If something happens legislatively or with a state that changes the process, would that supersede the contract or allow us to adjust the contract? We don't know what they're gonna do. Yeah.
You know,
You're
Okay.
basically bound to the contract.
yeah,
Okay.
they are, the main focus the state is looking at is increasing the volume of recycling. You know, they think that there's a lot more that could be done, and that's to be determined.
So it would only increase the volume as you understand what the state is looking at.
I don't know if it increased the volume. I think, and this is the problem, you know, you get into the state, they have a different agenda than we do. They want to throw more on our shoulders, and we want to throw more on their shoulders. They're talking, I think, getting more recyclings of organics and that kind of stuff, which just get thrown into the garbage. I don't know how they're going to do that, and I don't think they know how they're going to do it, but it's a nice idea to think about.
Okay.
Whatever they do, it better be less costly.
Well, that's, you know, this is anything that comes out of there doesn't get any less costly. I mean, that's where we have to be vigilant in knowing what they want to do. Because it's easy to let the other guy do it. The other guy is us, not the state.
Keep saying the buck stops here.
Yeah. I said, the only real form of representative government is the local government, as far as I'm concerned. Do I
Keep
sound
saying
so
the unfunded mandates keep being passed down to the municipalities, and we have to bear the cost, so.
Yep.
Okay, we have to set the town meeting date. Could I have a motion, please?
I would move that we set the town meeting date as the same date as the prior one, May 16th, 2016 at 8:15.
Second?
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
There's two items for that agenda. Selectmen, please stay to sign the notice. Yes?
One question, the sidewalk public hearing, that's still set for May 11th? Because we never,
Yes.
It's not a public hearing, it's gonna be.
It's an informational
oh,
meeting.
all right,
Okay.
okay, all right.
And
Thank
that-
you. Yeah, I was going back and forth with emails, I wasn't sure if it was set.
That will be an evening meeting. This one is a 8:15
No, this is in the morning, yeah, okay.
Okay, we did vote on that, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. James, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a great day.
Jim, is that assumed?
Excuse me? Yeah, we have budget stuff like that.
Okay, item 7, Finance Director Sheila Valano, receive monthly reports. Morning, how you doing?
Okay, start with revenue. Through the month of March, 75% of the way through the year. We've collected 99.3% of our budget versus 99.6% last year. All the departments are very strong. the noteworthy department is really fire at this point. They should be at 66% because they're a month behind, and they're at 83.8%. They're quite a bit ahead of where they were last year, with 129,000 remaining to collect, and there's 4 months to collect that, so I'm gonna venture to project that they're gonna exceed their budget. There are a few departments that have already exceeded their budgets, finance department being one. That's the interest income. Had to put that in by a small amount, but they're over by almost $3,000. Taxes also strong. They have collected 99.9% of their budget versus 100% last year. It was 100.2% last year. So there's $117,000 left to collect on taxes. And again, that goes for 4 months. So revenue looks very strong. We still have on the state side $1.5 million to collect, and the majority of that is the ECS grant that comes in at the end of April. It's 50% of that. And take a quick look. We collected $1,529,000 already. So that's what we will collect. So we'll be short, a little less than $30,000 there, and that's due to the cuts in the pilot for college and hospitals and state-owned property.
Okay. Next year might be a different story.
Possibly.
Any questions on revenue?
Okay.
Switch to expenses.
On expenditures, we've expended 79.7% of our budget versus 80.8% last year. So we're ahead of where we were last year by almost 1 percentage point, which is a lot when you look at the amount of the budget. I don't remember if I brought this to your attention last month or not, but you'll notice that the debt service interest is short, and that's because we budgeted money for the school construction, the very first payment, the high school construction bonds, and that money is in fund balance and reserve, but we're going to wait to see if we actually need it before we do a transfer, so that would probably be May or June. We'll just determine, but at this point, we're tracking very close to where we were last year, if not ahead. And last year, we had a fairly sizable surplus. I'm working on projections now. I've gotten the salaries basically completed for the projections, and we will have a surplus, but you may see me come back for a transfer because we had an extra week in a whole week of pay because of the way
Payroll?
yes. So it may affect departments that otherwise couldn't have absorbed that 1 week of pay. So I'm going to take a closer look at that, or well, I'll have it for tonight for the Board of Finance, at least for the overall, and then next month you'll see a possible transfer. The other departments, the big departments, are basically ahead of where they were last year. Ahead meaning a good thing. For example, police is at 69.9% versus 70.6% last year. Public Works, they are at 77.2% versus 89.8% last year.
Well, that's
due,
because of a good winter we had.
and also that's due to some FEMA money that I didn't accrue because I wasn't quite sure exactly when it would come in and how much it would be for. I was being conservative, so that came in this year from last year's storm, and that it's helping their budget. So expenditures are in good shape.
Good. Any questions of Finance Director? You're going to be able to have a capital report.
I'm going to do the capital for the town for tonight, yes.
Okay.
And I have the medical here, so I can pass this out. I don't have the stop loss from Anthem yet, but the claims number for March was the lowest so far this year at $970,000. So we're still projecting a sizable surplus of almost $900,000 for the year, an operating surplus, bringing our fund balance to over $1.5 million. And I think that's, you know, with 3 months left, it's pretty safe bet that we're, you know, in good shape with the medical.
Okay. Any questions? Anything else you want to add? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All good news.
It is good.
Keep it coming. All right, where are we here? Item 8, in-house counsel, Pam Millman. Where are you? 8.1, consider and take possible action to approve licensed tree contractor to remove a total of 17 hazardous trees in North Guilford. Filling in for Kevin McGee, who's on vacation.
Yes, so I'm just reading from Kevin's memo. He's requesting approval to hire A&L tree experts to remove 17 trees located on Country Road, Great Hill Road, West Street, in Wilbur's Lane in North Guilford for $11,000. He states all the trees are public hazard. He states that he sent out, he received 3 proposals, written proposals, and the A&L was the lowest bid. So he's requesting that you approve that bid.
And everybody's license approved, all that stuff.
Pardon?
License insured, all that stuff.
Yeah, he's got the insurance here, and I know he's used A&L several times.
Yeah. You say, good news?
I'll move that.
Yeah, I'll second.
Motion's made and
Gary's
seconded.
got a
Questions,
question.
Gary?
And you may not be able to answer this, but I noticed that it requires traffic control. Does that imply it's police department?
Most of the time, they have their own traffic control.
I don't know.
Okay, so the implication is they're bringing their own traffic control.
Well, he states in his scope, which is
No,
second to
number
Do you
last.
two.
usually have a police officer, Joe, or no, they don't?
No, number 2.
It depends.
We will need traffic
It depends.
control.
What street, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then read the rest of it.
If it can be done, the town could save on the 3rd. That's why well,
I think what?
yeah. My question
If it can be
therefore
done in
is,
2 days. we
if the
can
town
say
has to
this.
provide it, police extra duty is obviously an expensive place, and I know there are rules and regulations, but we also have 2 land stewards who work part-time for Kevin, who possibly could, yeah, again, if it meets the
Oh, I see
regulations.
what you're saying.
They
you know,
could be doing it.
We
is
could
what
put
you're
them in
saying.
a vest, I mean,
Yeah.
West Street and Great Hill Road aren't
Yeah, 'cause I've been to
highly
a lot of them
traveled, so
lately,
we
and
might be,
there's no
you know, we ought to look,
Kevin
we ought to look
question.
into that, yeah.
Okay. He's back next week.
Okay. I would just go on the
Joe
record,
handled it.
I'd go on the record, if it is in fact police
That's a good
department,
point. Why not?
there may be a
In a low traffic
better way of
area,
doing
that
it.
makes sense, yeah.
There are many times when this goes out to bid from the police department and no one picks it up. So then the tree company has to provide it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, no one here apparently knows the exact answer,
Right.
but let's look into it.
It's
Okay,
moved and seconded.
motion has been made, seconded. Any further discussion?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Approved, okay. 8.2, discuss and take possible action to set a public hearing date, excuse me, of May 11th, 2016, at 7:30 PM at the Green Community Center to receive public comment on an ordinance to amend the code of the town of Guilford, Chapter 218, peddling and soliciting, and to discuss related rules and regulations. Pam?
Yes, we had a kind of a small committee that worked on the redraft of the rules and regulations, and then Jeff Hutchison, Chief of Police, and I worked closely together on the ordinance change. The ordinance was last updated in the early 60s, I believe. So there was a lot of, there's some new laws at the state level that needed to be incorporated into the ordinance and just update and kind of correct some of the older provisions. We know the first selectman can attest that, he gets calls and emails regarding the food trucks, and we're trying to address that in the ordinance and the rules while preserving the rights of the food trucks to conduct business. And we know, we're decided, we have to have the public hearing for the ordinance, but we're going to present the rules and the ordinance so that the public can come and have feedback and review all of it and discuss what they may or may not want to discuss on the public hearing date.
Okay. Need a motion?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, that's May 11, 2016, 7:30 PM. That's an evening public hearing at the community center. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Gary?
Do we read solicitor and all this stuff to include sort of like school projects where they're raising money and they go door to door in the neighborhood, and or Girl Scouts selling Girl Scout cookies and things like that? I mean, is that included under?
There's an exception for people 16 and younger. So,
Okay, I missed that.
That's, and this is the kind of detail we hope to get into in the public hearing.
Okay,
It's
we're on which one?
218-4 under exceptions. It's B.
Okay. Yeah, I just, they're a sort of local school and,
No, definitely. Yeah.
Girl Scout
We don't want to
fundraising.
be regulating the Girl Scouts. No.
You know what, I'm all having license, if they have to get badges and licenses, it would cost more than they
No,
raise.
we don't want to over-regulate.
Okay.
Okay. Any further discussion? Call the question. All those in favor? Aye. Unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, Pam.
Yep.
Trace, here's the notice. Item 9, consider and take possible action on a request from the Guilford Arts Center to waive Section 214-2A of the Town Code to allow the serving of alcohol beverages during the Craft Expo on the Green taking place July 15th, 16th, and 17th, 2016. Maureen?
Hi.
Or whoever else you want to come up.
No, I'm good.
Good morning, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay. It's all yours.
So I wrote a letter to the selectmen requesting that the Guilford Arts Center might have permission to waive one of the regulations about serving alcoholic beverages on the green during the Craft Expo, which, as I think many of you know, we have a food court that's part of the event. We are looking, it's a great event. It brings about 9,000 people to the town over the course of the weekend. We have a lot of really great food vendors. We would like to sort of enhance the destination quality of the event by having beer and wine available for people over the age of 21 to enjoy with their meal, basically. That's the request that we have. In the letter, I did cite some precedent, which was, for example, the Guilford Lakes Golf Course, which is town property, has, I believe, in the past received a similar exemption to serve beer and wine when they do, let's say, golf outings for charitable groups and things like that. So we're hoping that the selectmen will look favorably upon this request.
But haven't you been serving wine?
No.
I thought you were.
No.
Okay. I thought you
No,
were.
that's why I'm here.
Okay. All right. I thought we were.
Yeah, no. So I don't know if you guys have discussion amongst
I think the third
yourselves.
paragraph outlines some answers
Yeah.
to my questions about,
Say that again?
your third paragraph, where it talks about perhaps bracelets and identifying people, and you can't leave the green and that type of thing. I mean, that addresses most of my questions. I would make a motion to waive at this point.
And I second. And I think because the nature and the type of event and it's complementary to the event. Let's just say, not.
We think so, yeah,
imagine
we appreciate- we think
It's not
so.
like you're going to a rock concert and.
Right.
Which would
Not at all.
bring a whole nother element, not that there's anything wrong with that, but I mean, it's a different, or a sporting event, which is a different issue, issue, so. I agree with Charlie.
Okay.
What impact does it have on restaurants and stores that serve liquor around the green, where people might go alternately. This way it keeps them inside as opposed to going to their establishments.
Well, we think that that for the beer and wine, it's comparable to any of the food vendors that we have within the show itself. What we have found is that our patrons like to have someplace where they don't have to leave the green itself and to go someplace to have meals. But then there are also a lot of people who love to leave premises and patronize the restaurants around the green. So, anecdotally, I believe that the restaurants and the bars, or the restaurants that have beer and wine and drinks, do well when the expo is there. So people will decide to do one or the other. I think that they do both. We do have people that come multiple days. They'll do one day. We have people who come over the course of the day. They may have lunch in the show and dinner outside of the show, things like that. So it's really to provide that sort of enhancement to a meal for the people who choose to stay within the show to eat.
I don't see any more negative impact than serving food.
But it's comparable,
Anyway, yeah.
I think.
Complimentary to
Yeah.
the food part. I mean, the food's already there, and whatever effect it was going to have has already had. Can
And in
have.
fact, the vendor who would like to provide beer and wine, the marketplace at Guilford Food Center, is also, has their own restaurant across the street. So I think they see it as a and, which would be nice.
And it's local.
Yeah.
You're not
Can't catch.
bringing somebody in from out of town.
No. Wouldn't do that.
When was the last time we allowed alcohol on the green? I can't even remember.
Not in my tenure.
Good question.
No. Well, okay. Any further discussion?
Yeah,
Gary?
I think it's a little, the golf course is sort of a different situation because it's 75 people in a contained area after an event and for a relatively short period of time, not extension. I understand you're looking for precedents, but I wouldn't see that as a comparable situation.
Okay.
Any further discussion? If not, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No?
No.
No, okay. Passes 3-2. Okay, thank you.
Thanks very much.
So,
You go ahead, I'll be right back.
you okay? Yeah. Okay. 10, discuss and take possible action to set the annual town meeting date of Monday, May 9th, 7 p.m. at the Guilford Town Hall. Have a motion, please?
So moved. Second. Whatever.
I'll fight you for it.
No, you can have it.
Then I guess there's no discussion. All those in favor?
Oh, just one comment. I have, unfortunately, I will not be able to attend. I am my nephew's confirmation sponsor, so I'm just putting that on the record. Otherwise, I would be there, but I have to be at the
Joe wouldn't be
confirmation.
there if he didn't have to be.
I know, but I have to be. Yes, I'm excited. I'm
Saying
honored.
I'm
So
gonna- Okay, I don't think Carl's gonna worry about missing his vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we got 2 10s here, I see. Tracy, you see that? Okay, all right. Discuss and take possible action on proclaiming, on a proclamation designating the second full week in May as Women's Lung Health Week. All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Motion, please?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so be it. Okay. 11, appointments and resignations. I better put my glasses for this. Act on a resignation received from Jim Axley from the Energy Task Force. Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
With regrets.
With regret.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Act on a resignation received from Ann Erder from the Green Committee.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, with regrets. Okay, act on a resignation received from Donald Bourgelor, I guess I said that right, I hope I did, from the Standing Fields Committee.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, with regrets, okay.
I would just comment that these are 3 long-standing people who have done a lot of work.
My God,
and
yeah.
They will be missed, and let's hope some people step up to fill their slots.
All right. Item 12, request for the use of town property. 12-1 through 12-3. Gary, you want to take care of that?
I would move that we approve the use of the green for graduation, as well as the 2 requests to place signs on the green as designated in the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Item 13, we have correspondence, 13-1 and 13-2. 13-1 is the Public Works Department monthly report. 13-2 is the building officials' monthly report. Any comments? And there's, I guess I will add 13-3. We had a very nice thank you note from Barbara Solomon for the proclamation that we all signed, and I was very honored to present her with for her 15 years of service to the mentoring program, and a well-deserved proclamation. So, the old business. Anybody? Okay. New business. We got the budget referendum tomorrow, but this won't play until it's over. Okay. Public forum, limited to 3 minutes or any issue. All right, let's see anything wishing to address the board. Okay. We have 17, 18, 19, and 20 are all executive session issues. And we will be coming back for a vote, Mike, on all of these issues. So the way I'm going to handle this is we'll go into executive session for all of these issues. I'll read them, and then we can vote. We go into executive sessions, but I'll mention them separately. All right, 17 is discuss and take possible action on an appeal from residents in accordance with Section 247-31, right of appeal. Article 7, Elderly Tax Relief Program, an executive session will be required. For that, we'll invite the, we have 2 families who have requested an appeal. Are they both here? Okay. So we'll invite them separately. And for that, we also are inviting the assessor and I guess his assistant for that one. Item 18, consider and take possible action on additional sick leave for 2 employees. I think we only have 1, Sheila, at this time?
Yeah.
Just 1, okay. And we'll invite the finance director, who will be representing the HR director who's on leave, and the supervisor of that department. You'll call her up when we're ready, okay?
Yes.
Okay. Then 19, consider and take possible action on a proposed amendment to the Town of Guilford 401 Defined Contribution Plan, number 10-62 or 7. And 20, consider and take possible action on proposed ratification of amendment to the Town of Guilford Board of Education Public School Employees Non-Certified 401 Defined Contribution Plan, number 10-6523. For those 2 items, we'll invite our town council, who's in the hallway. I see him, Mr. Dorney. So, okay, I'll need a motion
Joe,
on all that.
Would it be possible to enter just an update on a possible town land acquisition issue?
We
I
can.
know it isn't on the agenda. Would it be possible to add that in executive session?
Yes, but let's get through these first, okay? Then we can put one more item.
Okay.
Okay? All right, so can I have a motion on all 17, 18, 19, and 20, please?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Gary, you want to add
I would just like
21
to
then?
add an update on a possible land acquisition issue.
Okay, and for that, we don't need anybody but ourselves.
Correct.
Okay. Can I have a motion for that, please?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay. Tracy, would you read the first appeal we got, and we'll call those people in first, okay? So we're in,
No, not yet.
well, we'll be in a minute, okay? Okay, so if we can clear the room and just have the first residents stay wherever they are. Okay, Mike, you can shut the camera. Okay, we need a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. On the first two items, appeal for consideration on the elderly tax relief on the first issue. Do I have a motion?
I would move we take no action on either appeal.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous, okay. On the issue of, I'll read these separately. Consider and take possible action on proposed amendment to the Town of Guilford 401 Defined Contribution Plan, number 10-6207.
I'll read it. Be it resolved that the board hereby approves, on behalf of the employer, Town of Guilford, the adoption agreement presented to it for the amendment of the Town of Guilford 401A Defined Contribution Plan, Plan Number 10-6207, and authorizes the first selectman to execute the amendment and all necessary accompanying documents and transmit the same to ICMA Retirement Corporation.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Approved, okay. Item 19, consider and take possible action to the proposed amendment to the Town of Guilford 401 Defined Contribution Plan. Oh, excuse me, that's it, I did that
20.
one. Consider and take possible action on the proposed ratification of an amendment to the Town of Guilford Board of Education Public School Employees 401 Defined Contribution Plan, number 10-6523.
You can read that one, yeah.
Yes, please.
Oh, I get to read it?
Oh, yeah.
Be it resolved that the board, on behalf of the employer, Town of Guilford Board of Education, hereby ratifies, affirms, and adopts the adoption agreement amending the Town of Guilford Board of Education Public Schools Employees Non-Certified 401A Defined Contribution Plan, Plan Number 10-6523, as signed by Assistant Superintendent Jason Bowden on March 18th, 2015. And be it further resolved that the board hereby ratifies Mr. Bowden's execution of the document and authorizes the first selectman to execute all necessary and accompanying documents and transmit the same to ICMA Retirement Corporation.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Thank you, Gary. Okay, on item 18, consider and take possible action on additional sick leave for one employee.
I move that we table that pending further information.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Okay,
I would move we adjourn.
before we adjourn, I just want to make two announcements. First of all, to remind everybody that the senior tax program is ending its enrollment period real soon. You have until May 15th to file with the assessor's office if you want to stay in the program or enroll in the program for the first time. And just a note that our next meeting will be May 4th, 2016 at 8:30 a.m. in this room at Town Hall. Now I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you all. It's a long meeting, but we got through it.
Thanks, Mike.
Joe?
I didn't